Right, YouTube, welcome back. We are in for a juicy pull session today, RDL day. Very good session inbound. Obviously, we are updating myself. Week and a half post show now, and we are 2.5 weeks out, about 18 days from the next dance, as I like to say. So obviously, the last YouTube video I recorded would have been the 1 day post show. So it's been about a week and a half since I last recorded. Little update: we've just been getting leaner, cracking on with fat loss. That has been the primary goal for obviously the next show, but primarily the main show of the season, which is about 5.5 weeks away, I want to say, which is very exciting. And we'll get some kind of posing rounds after the session as well, kind of see how we're looking. But yeah, we've just been cracking on with fat loss. Little prep update actually, me and Josh were actually planning out the kind of prep timeline, and a few changes have been made. Most likely looking to actually extend my prep, do some extra shows, which is very exciting. Now, it's not 100% confirmed yet, so I won't go into much detail, so I'll leave that unannounced right now. But yeah, looking to do some more shows, prolong my season. So the season, the whole prep from start to finish, is looking to be around 27 to 28 weeks long. So very exciting times, and got some very cool shows lined up, and hopefully finishing my season in a different country as well, which is a little teaser for you. So yeah, getting straight into it today with pool. 18 days out, no time to waste. By the time this is out, I'll probably be about 2 weeks out. But yeah, the weekend of the show, we've seen quite a few new prep lows, and for the past week we've actually been running baseline food. We actually pulled food down by a little bit, expenditure back up to baseline, obviously after peak week. And yesterday we had a new prep low as well, new condition coming through, just getting pretty exciting. And this is, you know, the nitty gritty kind of stages of prep. These last few weeks of fat loss before my main shows, like this is going to be like the toughest time of prep, but loving every minute of it. Going to take you through a session, kind of show you how, for example, the intensity does not fucking slack off, especially during these tough times when I'm at this body composition, which you'll see. And we are right now sitting around 63 to 64 kilos as well in body weight, which is once again the leanest I've been in years, which is very exciting and very cool. So exciting times ahead. Big cool session inbound. Let's get it. Right, you've actually joined me on a good day today. Obviously, as I was kind of discussing, the last like straight week, just running baseline plan, getting leaner, obviously pulling food down as well. But today is actually the first high day I've had since show day. So a little bit more food going today, a little bit of caffeine pre-workout as well. So as you can see, a little bit more energy today, not being as zombified, but yeah, high day today. So 400 carbs going today, which is not like a kind of full high day, because yes, we've been running flat these last few days, especially the point of prep I'm in. That's exactly what we want, to get leaner. Like, do not be afraid when you're dieting and you're getting leaner, especially in contest prep, to be flat. There's at times of the process that you need to be fat. What's the saying, you know, don't get fat, stay fat, something like that. Don't be afraid to get fat. Now, there's a time and a place for that as well. Now, as I approach stage condition, we are on a very fine, tight rope where it can be very easy to chase those last little bits of condition, but at the same time, it's also very easy for myself and my physique to just wither away, and kind of get into a hole that's going to be very hard to get back out of. So that's where learning when to push and pull, and also having a coach by your side to take away the kind of emotion in your physique is so crucial, especially at this deeper end, second half of this prep phase. Like, especially for myself, something that I've been really trying to do for this whole prep is just take my coaching hat off, and really just kind of put the process on Josh, if that makes sense. But obviously updating him on, you know, when I feel like, you know, certain things can be improved or how I'm feeling, etc. Just like making sure, if you're a coach yourself, that you are putting the decision making on your coach, and you're not kind of trying to almost skew their decision making by giving them like false information, things like that. So that's where we are right now. A little bit high day. We just have been running a bit flat, sorry, obviously, as I said, with the new prep low yesterday, and just implementing a little bit more food today, once again, just to keep that physique alive, bring back a bit of fullness to then crack on with more fat loss. So right now, I'm just getting a bit of blood into the lats. So before I go into any of my back movements, I do just like to get a little bit of blood in the lats, especially if you do struggle with engaging with your lats. I know that's something that people can struggle with a lot. Get a bit of blood in the lats, even for just safety as well. More importantly, to actually cue to pull with your lats instead of like your arms, etc., which can take over very easily. So that's a little tip there. And starting off with triceps, I start pull as well. So I do have like some kind of elbow issues. My elbows just aren't the best, and before I go into any of my tricep work, I like to just do like a few warm-ups, kind of higher reps, nowhere near failure, just a good few reps to get my elbows warm, and that feels a lot better. So that's where we're at. Starting off with tricep starter pull. Let's get into it. Right, this bad boy right here, especially at this stage in prep, is your best friend. This holds you accountable. Now, whatever built the muscle keeps the muscle. Retaining your training performance is of the utmost importance. Prep isn't just about how lean you can get, it's also about the amount of muscle that you can retain throughout the whole prep. If you're going through a prep in the later stages, you let your training drop off, you're going to lose muscle. It's that simple. You really need to be stubborn, go into every session with a goal to try and retain as much performance as possible throughout your whole prep. That should be your goal, and that is what is going to produce the best package on stage. Retain all your muscle, and even when you have more muscle as well, you're able to actually get leaner. So that's just something to think about. Retaining your training performance, especially in a diet or prep setting, is of the utmost importance. A week and a half post show now from my first ever show, and I learned so much from my first show. However, one of the biggest things that I learned is just how much more time I need in a lot of cases, in this contest prep in general, to just get leaner from my main shows. Obviously this was an earlier show, but even after this prep, how much more just time I need spent in a surplus building muscle. Obviously as a first timer, I knew that stepping into a juniors class, I'm not going to be the most heavily muscled on stage. I knew that, but it really just emphasised that point and made me realise how much more time I need. Especially, next season when I compete, stepping up into that juniors class, I really just need a lot more time. I think that's something that a lot of people can benefit from as well. It's just realising how much time it really takes to bring a competitive package to stage, whether that's getting in true stage condition, which is going to take a lot of time. My prep in total this first season is going to be about 27 to 28 weeks long, which is quite a lot of time. And once again, time is your best friend. If you want to see long-term progress, building muscle is not a fast process. It's not a fast process, and it takes a lot of discipline and consistency over a long period of time as well. So that's just something to note there. Time is your best friend. So, as you can see, triceps at starter pull. Why the hell am I doing that? A lot of people might look at that and think it's very strange, but your program should be towards what you need. Your needs analysis is what we call that. So for myself, if we look at my physique, my delts and arms especially are weaker areas of my physique. So prioritising that within my training is what my program should be doing, and that's exactly what it's doing. So at the start of my push days, I start off with biceps. At the start of my pull days, I start off with triceps. Now, at the start of your sessions, where you're going to be more fresh, you can put more into them, and as you get deeper into the session, you're obviously going to be more fatigued, and the amount of stimulus you can put into those sets, or get out of the sets, sorry, is going to drop. So if you have a weaker body part, putting that at the start of your sessions will make a lot more sense to put a little bit more priority on them. One of the biggest tips I would have for younger lifters, or even if you're just new to the process, is to simply enjoy it and be passionate. Now, I see this a lot, especially when, you know, younger aspiring competitors come on board with myself. The ones who, first of all, have the most muscle already, and second of all, make the most progress, are the ones who simply just get fucking after it. They worry about the things that you should be worrying about and not over-analysing every little detail and being almost paralysed with having the perfect this, having the perfect that. They simply just get in, they enjoy it, they're passionate, they train fucking hard, they get strong, and that right there is what you should be focusing on. So when you're kind of formulating your plan, that should be a really high priority in my opinion, if not the highest priority. It's simply just enjoying it, being passionate. You know, if you want to do a barbell row, do a fucking barbell row. You don't need to type on Instagram asking, you know, am I okay to do this? Just fucking do it. If you want to do a conventional deadlift instead of an RDL, just do it, get strong, enjoy it, put some passion, put some grit into it, and get strong. Now, when it comes to training when you're doing unilateral work and you have a stronger and weaker side, there's actually two ways to go about this. Now, what you'll most commonly hear is to start off with your weaker side and then match that with your stronger side. Now, you can do that, and I definitely would recommend that depending on the situation, but what you can do as well is you can actually start off with your stronger side. Let's say you get 10 reps at stronger side, you go on to your weaker side, let's say you get 8 reps, you do the 8 reps and you do 2 force reps, and over time you'll pretty much force yourself for that weaker side to catch up to that stronger side. So once again, there's 2 ways to go about everything. There's many ways to skin a cat, and that's a little tip for you if you have a stronger and weaker side, how to approach that. Now, a big skill that you need to learn to almost perfect in your training, and something that I see missing, especially when new clients come on board, when I'm looking at their training analysis, especially through those kind of first few clips to send me, is breathing, bracing and composure. They all go kind of hand in hand. So especially as you get towards those last few hard reps, you really need to make sure that you're bracing properly, or else you're not going to have as much stability, as much forced output to actually grind through those hard reps, and in return you're going to miss out on those total last reps, which is the reps that we want to be taking. That is the reps that's going to stimulate the muscle the most, lead to the most progress possible. So making sure your breathing, bracing is on point, you're making sure you're actually thinking about it towards the end of the rep as well, making sure your breathing is controlled throughout, especially the latter end of the sets. You know, especially on things like a leg press and hat squat, you'll see people, especially as they approach those last few reps, their breathing just is out of control, and in return what that's going to lead to as well is you feeling that nauseous feeling, that dizziness, because your breathing's out of control. So making sure you're doing controlled breaths throughout. You know, we want to be keeping our sets as continuous as possible, but I would say those kind of last 1 or 2 reps to take a controlled breath out, compose yourself, get that brace in, and attack those last couple of reps. Good? Big fucking win, mate. Big fucking win. Mate, like, see today's check-in as well, mate. See your check-in today? And I was saying, mate, I literally opened it, mate, and I had to fucking like double take the shots, mate. I was like, what the fuck? Like, see, even compared to last week, like that front double, mate, the difference is just, it's good, mate, it's good. Right, triceps done, 6 sets, boshed, all done. Everything, actually a couple sets progressed as well, and more importantly, retained absolutely everything. So, heading into the first back movement on the session, starting off with the single arm lat pull down. So, why are we doing this at the start? So, as you get deeper into the session, especially for your lats, you're going to struggle, and it's going to be harder to get your lats fully short as the session goes on. So, especially with the lats, they are very, very weak in that shortened range. So starting off with I like to pretty much the majority of my clients' programming and my program, I will always start off my back training with some sort of single arm lat pull down, lat biased, reason simply. So with this, set up and execution wise as well, making sure for all your movements, not even just back movements, making sure you're taking the time to actually set up properly and making sure it's the exact same every week. So for example, if you're doing a machine, making sure you're noting down the settings of that machine, because if it's changing up every single week, the way you perform that movement is literally changing up every single week. And especially when it comes to standardization of Logbook, we want to make sure that we're doing the exact same movements every single week and it is standardized for actually tracking progression properly and making sure that the movement is set up correctly to make sure we're actually being intentful and getting the most stimulus out of the exercise as possible. Obviously, by now, we know the difference between upper back training and lat biceps training, but with back training, when you train your back, you're going to be using all areas of your back at once. Now, what we want to do, especially with this movement, is isolate the lats. So what we want to be doing is always keeping that elbow, think about tucking that to the hip pocket. Now, we really want to make sure that we're getting a good internal connection, mind muscle connection with our lat, making sure that it's actually our lat that is moving the weight. So I like to go a little underarm grip. What that does is it almost kind of engages the lat straight off the bat, making sure that lat is engaged even before you do that first rep. Right here, my lat's engaged. I feel my lat literally like pretty much burning. I'm coming up, I'm allowing my shoulder to kind of come forward a little bit, not anything excessive, to get a full range of motion on the lats. And I initiate the movement by depressing my shoulder and then pulling down. And I really get a good connection with my lats there. Making sure you are actually getting a good connection. Repeat that, and that is lat training 101. That's how to get some big motherfucking lats. Now, when it comes to old school versus new school bodybuilding, first of all, what the hell does that even mean? People associate old school bodybuilding with, you know, the training intensity, hardcore, and the kind of new style with being accurate and super accurate, super meticulous. However, I think perfect middle ground between the two, accuracy combined with intensity, is going to be the perfect bang for your buck. That is what our goal should be within our training, is to be as accurate, as intense as possible. So when I get a couple questions, you know, what's your kind of take on it? That is my take. I would say either end of the spectrum, the extremes, you're not going to be maximising your progress. I think right in the middle is that perfect sweet spot where we want to be accurate, we want to be intentful, but we also want to be taking our sets all the way there and putting a bit of effort, putting a bit into our training sessions. And you know, the kind of old school movements like your body rows, your barbell rows, etc. There's definitely a place in your program for that to maximise your progress. So that is my take on that. Something that I was just talking to the cameraman behind the camera, that I feel like would be very beneficial, especially for those who are in prep or deep ends of any phase, is take it one day at a time. Like right now, I've got a lot of energy today, I feel good, it's a higher day of food, etc. I feel good, I've got energy, I've got the energy to kind of talk to you as well, so focus on my sessions. But however, some days I've also got my headphones on, I'm not talking to anyone, and I'm simply just doing what needs to be done. And you're going to have your tougher days in prep, and my advice for those days when they come, because prep is challenging, it's going to be a challenge, as much as it is enjoyable, it's also hard. So for those days, the mindset you need is just one task, one set, one session, one day at a time. And you know, if you get through that day, you'll wake up the next day, you might feel a little bit better. On prep, you're going to have your bad days, you're going to have your good days. Take it one day at a time and enjoy the bad days as well. See the days where I'm fucking just going through one set at a time, not really thinking about it too much as well. Like, don't deep it too much. Like, you're not going to feel 100% all the time, especially when you do get approach stage conditioning, you are really lean. Like, your body doesn't want to be here, you know. So take it one set at a time. Enjoy the tough times, because that's when you're going to make the most progress, and you're probably going to look the best as well. So that's a little tip for you. Right, the time is 1:30 PM, which means it's intra-workout time. So in here, we have 25 grams of cyclic dection and then a serving of EAAs. So now for myself, it takes me around like 30 to 40 minutes to get to the gym. So my pre-workout meal will be 11 a.m. My post-workout meal will be 4 p.m. So that's like a 5-hour gap, which is quite a while. So I like to split that up, even protein servings throughout the day. So I'll have this at 1/2, which is 2.5 hours after my pre-workout meal and 2.5 hours before my post-workout meal, to split that up, muscle protein synthesis evenly throughout the day, which is once again the little 1%, but I just do like to have a protein serving in between my pre and post workout meal, because it can be quite a while. So stack addition carbs as well, very beneficial, especially in a dieting phase. If you do feel like your performance or energy does drop off towards the end of your session, I definitely would recommend getting some intra-workout carbs in your intra and drinking this all in the winter pretty much. And then yeah, that is intra-workout carbs 101. Now it is time for the RDL, the big fucking hitter, the set of the session, the big hitter. So drink this, headphones on, no more talking until after the set, 'cause it really does. I need to give 100% into the session, this set, sorry, if I want to maintain performance, which obviously went over how important it is, especially at this stage. So 170 for 6 last week, super happy with that set. I'm going to get 170 for 6 again this week. Last week was the first time I did this RDL 170 for about 6 or 7 weeks, just because I had a lower back injury, and obviously if you've been following along, I had that kind of forced time off with the food poisoning. So really happy to be still retaining this at 170, and let me get fucking after it. Let's go. This RDL set. Now for these sets here, this RDL set, or even throughout the whole session, but especially this set, this is the only singular thought that's going in my head right now, is giving 100% into this set. Fuck what's going on outside the gym. What's going on outside the gym does not matter as soon as you step in this gym. The stresses, what you have to do after the gym, relationship issues, none of it fucking matters, and you need to learn to switch that off. And you really just need to learn to put 100% into these sets here, especially once again at the deep ends of prep. I really need to give 150, 200% into these sets. And if I let a single bit of doubt creep in, I will drop performance, and that is not what I can afford at this stage in prep. So making sure, take your time before your sessions to get in the right headspace. Does not matter what's going on outside these walls. You're in here to do a job. You're in here to progress your physique forward and get after it. Your mindset and the way you look at a set like this is everything. As much as strength may be physical, it starts up here, and it's honestly 90% up here. You know, I'm weighing 63.5 kilos. Now I'm about to go on RDL 170 kilos. That's not just going to be given to me. And to retain that performance, especially as I'm like 5-6 kg lighter and I've not lost a single rep in this, that's not just given to me. That comes with the mindset, how I approach it, how you can see I'm approaching this, giving absolutely everything into it, using fucking emotion. There's a balance between using, just getting so emotional that it takes away from the accuracy. I'm using the right amount of controlled aggression, emotion, and getting fucking after it and put a bit of oomph into these sets where it really matters. So the way you view these sets here, getting stronger is not to be handed to you, especially in off season, where that's getting stronger every single week. You really need to bully yourself into getting stronger, and that all starts up here. No matter what my goals are going into a show this season, the way I approach every single set, every single session, every single part of the process I treat it like I want to win. Like I have the mindset of training to win. And I think there's a big difference between having that mindset and obviously not having the primary goal to win a show, but treating your process like you want to win, you want to take that first place. I think it's a really good mindset to have, and something that I've been putting into my process this year in my prep is just training like I want to win. Even though the expectations for my shows might not match that, the mindset I have is I'm training to win. However, if I don't take a first place, I know it's not the end of the world from some of my shows. So yeah, that's just a little kind of insight into our mindset and how we kind of approach this prep as a whole. I feel like it'd be very beneficial for those who are in prep as well. RDL set going down, 170 kg. They said the fucking Mars. It's literally only one set. It is literally only one set. It is quite literally going to last 30 seconds. Now, what I like to do for a set, a little insight is, I will literally stare at that fucking weight, and how I picture that weight is much more than just a set. I know it might sound very, very extreme, but if you want to really fucking make progress and progress your physique forward, this is how you need to view these sets. That right there is, it's almost a barrier in the way of me achieving what I want to achieve. It's much more than just a set or retaining performance. It's, you know, even for myself, like this is quite literally my career, being a coach, you know, having a successful set here, it interlinks with just me progressing forward in life, and that's how I view it. It's much more than just a set. It's me, you know, providing for my future family, you know, having success, whether that's whatever your success may be, this is my success, this is how I progress my physique forward, how I get further in life, and this set is in the way of that, and I need to win this set to progress myself forward. That is how I'm viewing this set, and that's really what it fucking takes if you want to pressure physique forward. Six fucking reps. Job fucking done. Nice, mate. Very good. The satisfaction that I fucking get from writing 170 times 6 and knowing that I've done what I set out to do. Beautiful feeling, beautiful feeling. Especially like that right there is it's a big win, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a mini win. These mini wins is what progresses yourself forward. Literally bodybuilding training, it's all about taking it one set at a time, stacking up with mini wins, and over a long period of time, it will produce some silly results. 170 for 6, another week of maintaining the RDL at lighter body weights. Right, on to the first upper back exercise of the day, and actually the only upper back exercise of this session. Now, when it comes to using chest supported machines, making sure you're actually making use of the chest pad. And once again, when I was talking about that accuracy combined with intensity, that is what we want. Now, I definitely do think there is a time and a place for a little bit more body language movements, but for in general, if you're wanting to be as accurate as possible, I would try and make use of the chest pad as much as possible. Now, when I'm doing this, I do like to try and keep some sort of connection with the chest pad the whole time and really cue and make the most of the chest pad. Really getting a full range of motion through my scapula, protracting and retracting really try to make sure that I'm minimising that body language momentum, because if you think about it, that's not really getting more out of your upper back, is it? If you're just swinging back and forth and using momentum. So making sure we're thinking about chest not caving in as well, getting that almost like wasted range of motion. We're keeping that chest high, but you're keeping that contact on the chest pad, minimising the body language, getting the most out of your upper back as possible. Something that I've been really, a tip that I have for anyone, especially in prep, is just to be aware of your time spent in the gym. Something that I've really found to be extremely beneficial as I get deeper in prep especially, is just being good with my time. Like, my sessions will last max 2.5 hours, usually about that kind of 2-hour range. And I feel like my performances, especially towards the end, it's that high quality. It's much easier to maintain a high quality of performance in my opinion. And especially, you know, if you're spending 3.5 hours yapping a lot, like, when you get deeper in a deficit, you almost kind of feel that, and I feel like it will be much easier to let your quality slip in your session. So that's a little tip there, if you're on a deficit or prep especially, to really be cautious of your time, and just be a little more productive with your time in the gym. The biggest thing that I see missing from most people's training is just putting a bit of oomph and power, aggression into your reps. You're concentric when you're actually doing the rep. You should be putting 100% of power and intent into it. You should not be controlling that portion of the rep. The portion of the rep that you should be controlling is the eccentric portion. So when I'm lowering the weight, that is the portion that should be controlled. However, the concentric, when I'm actually doing the rep, that part, you do not dictate the speed of that. That will just gradually get slower and slower and slower as the set goes on and as your muscle approaches failure. You do not dictate that. All you need to be focusing on is obviously keeping your execution standardized, not letting it slip towards the end when it's getting uncomfortable, and making sure that you're putting 100% of power, aggression into those reps, and not deliberately slowing down, controlling, contracting, etc. Yes, you should be being intentful, contracting the muscle, but with power and aggression. There's a fine balance that you need to learn to perfect within your sets. Now, this kit here is a prime example. So I did there, prime example of why your setup and execution needs to be standardized. Now, with this, you can also adjust the resistance profile. So if I literally change this chest pad, the resistance is literally changing every single week I do it. So if you have this piece of kit or a similar piece of kit, making sure that you're putting the chest pad as close as possible pretty much. So what that's going to do is going to make the machine as heavy as possible pretty much. If I go all the way back here, it's literally going to be lighter here, which is not what I want. I want it to be heavy here. That is the whole point of obviously using the resistance profile of the machine. So this is a prime example of why your setup and execution should be standardized every single week. Now, when it comes to resistance profiles is something that, yes, is going to benefit your training a lot. However, if you don't have access to kit like Prime, for example, it's really not the end of the world, and you're not going to see substantially more progress within your physique by really optimizing your resistance profiles, in my opinion. You know, if you're not sleeping right, you're not eating right, and you're worrying about resistance profiles, you're worrying about the wrong thing, in my opinion. These are the almost 1-2% within your training. Really make sure that you're dialing down the 80-90%, which is nailing down the basics of obviously training intensity, accuracy, before you're worrying and even thinking about resistance profiles. Resistance profiles do have a place within your training program, but I definitely do think it is something that is more on the advanced side and for more experienced lifters. On that Kung Fu Panda shit. Now, when it comes to music within your training, obviously extremely person dependent, but I don't know, when I've been starting prep, I like a kind of more calm, classical song to kind of allow me to get emotional, but obviously not kind of almost see red and get angry. It almost keeps me calm during my set, focused. But once again, you know, every now and then I'll put on a Train My GP audio if I feel like it. I feel like it is very person dependent and set dependent as well, which is something to think about. So most importantly, just kind of saving songs that you know kind of can tap into that kind of emotional side when needed. I feel like it's very, very beneficial as well. And there will literally be songs that I'll only listen to in the gym that really do let me tap into some, you know, emotional emotions. When, for example, big sets, when I do feel like I need to get that kind of extra bit of oomph into my session. So that's just something up there. Music within your sessions is a really crucial tool to have in your locker. What a session today has been. Not a single rep dropped. Not a single rep dropped. Once again, job done. Another session closer to stage. Another session closer to progress my physique forward, and one session closer to where I want to be. You know, it's a, once again, as we kind of discussed, a mini win in the grand scheme of things. But that's all it is. Taking it one day at a time, one session at a time. Now, when it comes to prepping, you really need to worry about what you can control. What you can control is your process, giving 100% in all your sessions. And as a result, bringing your best package to stage. What you can't control is who turns up on the day, what your competitors are going to be like. So, especially as a first timer, not attach the success of your prep to a placing or a trophy, because to an extent, you can't really control that. As long as you know that when you step on stage, 100% effort was given, not a stone was left unturned, every single box is ticked, you should be more than happy and you should be proud of yourself. But what you can't control is the placing that you get if you give 100%. Obviously, if there's things to improve on, then yes, you probably could have controlled having a better placing to an extent, because you could have improved your process. But if you give 100%, you truly know you could not have done anything else. Be proud of yourself. And the placings in the stage is a byproduct of it all. Your perspective in the way you view a prep is going to be extremely crucial towards how your prep is going to turn out. Now, that is to a certain extent. Obviously, the reality is some people they're going to have to push quite hard to get in stage condition. However, if you view prep as something that puts your life on hold, is miserable, you're low food, high cardio, it's going to make you feel like shit, then that's exactly what it's going to feel like. However, if you view it as a positive process, a process that is challenging, yes, but you have the opportunity to better yourself every day. You wake up, you get to eat high quality food, 45 meals per day, you're not starving. You have the opportunity to better yourself every day, and if you have that mindset, it will honestly make the world of a difference towards your experience of prep as a whole. And at the end of the day, you know, you unfortunately see a lot of people coming out of prep and they start to kind of resent the process because of their perspective. So make sure to really change your perspective on bodybuilding if you're looking to prep, because it's a beautiful process and it all comes from up here. Right, wrapping up this pull session with rear delts. Best fucking exercise that I've done here with this chest support. Creates so much stability. If you have the luxury of having the Cybex Bravo or like a kind of chest support with the rear delt, what I like to do is actually lean forward into the chest pad, use that stability. Think about literally just almost kind of wrapping round. And what I like to cue is, like, imagine there's a big pile of money and you're trying to swipe as much as possible. That's what I like to cue and think about, is reaching out as much as possible and then swiping out as much as possible. Really prioritising that rear delt and trying to kind of minimise the upper back. Your starting point for prep will dictate your prep. If you, first of all, have not went through the process of bodybuilding, and this is your first experience of bodybuilding, you're starting pretty soft and you have a lot of body fat to lose, your prep is going to be very different to someone else's prep who's went through the process, they've actually built their food up, they have a lot of tools to play with, and they're starting in a relatively lean position, your prep is going to be hard and it's going to take a lot more out of you. So make sure before you decide to prep, you really have your shit together. In other words, it's that simple. Making sure you've actually took the time to build your food up, getting a solid routine, so when you're starting prep, it's literally just a case of doing the exact same, just eating less and moving more. And honestly, that's all prep is to a certain extent. So making sure your stop point for prep is key. You're actually getting a good prep timeline in place to plan out your prep, which is super crucial, especially as a first timer, but especially just for anyone in prep, to actually get in true stage condition. And a big tip I would give you is give yourself more time than you think. Right, that is the pull session wrapped up. 18 days out till we go again, and about 5 weeks until the main show. So closing in now, a really good session, as you kind of saw. RDL especially was really good, feeling fucking good as well, especially with today's high day. You caught me on a good day. That was the post-workout shots as well. Happy with the shots, in a really good position once again, just chasing fat loss. A little bit fuller today as well, obviously with a little bit of extra food that I've had in today, which is really good. So we're exactly where we want to be. We're closing in now. You know, these are the times that I was looking forward to when it's tough, I'm chasing that last little bit of fat loss. And once again, perspective, how you view it is everything. So hope you enjoyed the higher quality video as well. Going to be getting these out on a monthly basis, so I would appreciate any support, like, subscribe, comment, and also sharing your stories if you watched. I appreciate you all, and I shall see you soon.